They don't play.
Episode of
Read the hard way.
Johnny Boy, Merryman,
My boy Merryman Rock.
Rob. You see these fire t-shirts they got on.
Champion Rock.
Hallway. My man, Rob Fredo got T-shirt.
Shout out.
So yeah, we're gonna be selling these shirts soon, right?
Pretty soon.
So yeah, check us out for those. Got a lot of sports news for you today. A lot of things going on. The NBA has boycotted their games in response to the Jacob Blake shooting.
Yeah.
We got some NBA hot seat to talk about. Some of the series league
Hot today. It's hot.
from the playoff series that have been happening. We got some WNBA sitting out as well. Some Messi news, some football news. So we got a lot of information today.
Sure.
Unfortunately, it starts in a somber, yet for me a proud moment in our history, in our tutelage, with the NBA boycotting their games in response to the Jacob Blake shooting in Wisconsin. It's happened again. Another black unarmed man shot.
See how casual that happens? That comes off your tongue.
It's sad.
It happens again.
It happens again. It happens again. You know, it's almost like it happened. So Jacob Blake, was shot 7 times. He's, as of right now, they're telling us that he's paralyzed. And he was right in front of his children, and he was shot at point blank range. He had no weapon. And again, we don't know what the future holds for the officers. They have not been arrested.
He's on paid administrative leave.
Yeah,
They are on paid.
And the NBA took a stand today. And I say today, and I know this show isn't going to be dropped until a few days after today, but I want today to be another moment in our history, 8/26. Another moment in which I've always said we've always agreed that the NBA has been the front runners in taking a social stand and talking about social justice and reform and things of that nature. And here the NBA goes again, starting with boycotting their games. There were 3 games that were supposed to happen today. Milwaukee started it off. There's video footage of Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook. Chris Paul being the president of the National Basketball Association.
Players Association.
Players Association. So, they had a conversation and followed with them, the Thunder and the Rockets postponing their games. Lakers and Portland as well have stepped up and said they were going to postpone their games. This all started with Toronto and Boston talking about postponing game 1 of the second round that they were about to play. So, they're taking a stand, and we're sick of what's happening. I mean, I swear I feel insensitive by saying I don't want to talk about it anymore, because it takes you to a place, as a black man, it just takes you to a place of anger, sorrow, guilt, frustration, confusion, and you feel all those emotions all at once. And like we said, it comes off so casually because it happens, it keeps happening, and nothing happens about it. So you gotta feel for those guys in those locker rooms and those players, and be proud of what they're doing. I feel like our athletes right now have taken that stand. I feel like growing up, I heard a lot of, we're our leaders, we're the new leaders of today. We have our civil rights leaders. We're the leaders of today. Who are the people taking a stand? Who are people that are willing to stand on that hill alone? And you've seen Colin Kaepernick. You've seen Eric Reed. You've seen the NBA with the I Can't Breathe t-shirts and LeBron opening the school and things of that nature. You've seen Jaylen Brown and all these other players, Malcolm Brogdon, marching with others over the George Floyd shooting. So you see our leaders stepping up, and here they are again as black millionaires saying, we're going to make a difference, we're going to make a change, we're going to make a stand. And I'm so proud of all of them doing this.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to Chris Paul once again doing an amazing job. I just think it was really interesting how, I believe it was a few days ago, Giannis received the Defensive Player of the Year award. And in that interview, they had asked him how did him or was there anything his team was going to do as far as, a protest and that and third, and they were very subtle in just saying, like, we're going to keep our plans internal. And to see them literally not take the court while the other team is warming up and just taking that stand right there, hats off to them.
Especially with it happening in their state.
Especially with it happening, I believe it's 40 miles down the road from Milwaukee. So I just want to commend the NBA players and their willingness to sacrifice, because taking a step further, a lot of them are talking about leaving the bubble. And if that happens, that's a whole nother can of worms we got to be talking about. But it just shows you how serious we're taking this as a culture, as a people. Like, we are not going to do this anymore. And, like, I really commend and salute all of the NBA players who are stepping foot with the movement.
Yeah, man. It's disheartening to see it happen again. And it's just sad that we can casually say a man got shot by a police officer while being unarmed, not resisting, and being in compliance. Sad. The fact that, we're here talking about it again, this shows you the magnitude of the situation, the severity of it. And I think the NBA has captured that. They understand the moment.
Yep.
And, we talk about critiquing players, and I critique LeBron a lot, but one thing I will never critique LeBron on is his efforts and his leadership off the court and the impact that he has and how he uses his platform to push agendas, put pressure on people to make moves. And I commend him on that, and all of NBA players for using their star power and really understanding and not forgetting their roots. I think if there's any sport that is connected to communities, basketball may be the closest to communities that resemble people who are not as privileged as others. And they really embody that. And I have to give my hats off to them for that, because not so many people or not so many organizations, just the whole NBA as an organization is doing an amazing job in putting pressure on people. Adam Silver has been very supportive of these players' movements. Jeannie Buss said today she's proud of her players. And she also said that, this has been happening for 400 years and it needs to stop. Enough is enough. So if you have your leaders doing that, you have everybody's in alignment with this. That's a powerful thing. It's just unfortunate that NBA players can't just be athletes. And I think that's what, when we talk about role models, and you don't want to be put in that forefront, but unfortunately, that's the nature of the business. And this is even more. You're talking about 24, 25-year-olds, 26-year-olds, 27, 30-year-olds. These guys are young, right? So for them to understand that, push that forward, and understand the situation, I applaud them for it. We appreciate you. Keep doing it. We're moving mountains just by you being you in those actions. So we appreciate you, NBA. I can't forget about the WNBA and all the stuff that they've done, because they've also been on the forefront for women of color as well as men of color, and justice in general, and being advocates for that. The MLB has some teams that wound up opting out of the games today. MLS and even soccer across the seas, in the Premier League, in the Silver League, like they've been very, very, very supportive of the movement, so we appreciate you.
So yeah, I just want to piggyback off what you said about us critiquing. It's an amazing thing to be able to sit, whether it be in our living rooms or in our studio, and critique people doing their jobs. I mean, everyone critiques people doing their jobs. No one gets paid for it other than analysts, other than, critiques, food critics. Like, it's not a regular job to be able to critique people. But the NBA players, sports athletes in general, they deal with that all the time. So there's always a magnifying glass on what they're doing. And I look at sport, when you go sport by sport, and how many people are reluctant to speak out, or how many people are reluctant to change, or how many people are reluctant to wave a flag and say, hey, this is not right. I look at the NBA and how they just go for it, man. And they, with the magnifying glass, with whatever's watching, they've always been able to stand together as a unit, WNBA as well, and say, yo, we're not going to stand for this, we're not going to go for that. Even when you go to their contracts, they stand together. And I look at this as, I don't know the exact percentage of the NBA that is black or African American, or not even just African American, but black in other countries. You look at Giannis, and he's not necessarily from here, but I'm sure he dealt with his own forms of racism and where he's from. So I look at all these black millionaires saying, it's not really about this money. Donovan Mitchell, F the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell is looking like he's literally a superstar budding right before our eyes in the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
F the playoffs. This is not right. Chris Paul, after being down 2-0, brings his team back. Another clutch bucket. Another clutch Chris Paul. And what does he say in his post-game interview?
That's
We're not talking about basketball. That's fine and all. But what's happening in the world is not right. And these black men, and also the allies, the Joe Ingles, the Kyle Korvers, including the allies. Like, I love what they're doing, and we critique you as basketball players, and it's a luxury of ours to be able to do something like that and post it and whatever. But at the same time, as men, outside of the game, the sport, the fun, outside of all of that shit, as men, you guys are being role models to the young youth coming into the league, to the people watching basketball, to the people all over the world. Basketball is such an international sport, worldwide sport. You guys are inspirations. You guys are the leaders of now. And when we look back on this 50, 60 years from now, we'll be able to say that this was a historic moment. Regardless of Dame Lillard bust LeBron ass, or LeBron bust, regardless of all of that we're talking about, Dame Lillard, LeBron, Kyrie, these men stood on principles that were stronger than the sport itself. And for that, they will all be immortal for this. And I commend them for that.
Facts. Good facts.
All right, there's no real way to segue, so I guess we're just going to jump right in. We're going to start talking about some actual basketball. Again, prayers up to Jacob Blake and his family, and those that are involved in the wildness happening in Wisconsin. There was also a white supremacy shooting last night where 2 people were killed in the streets out there. So it's really, it's really crazy out there. Prayers up for that area. Prayers up to those that have to all of my people that have to deal with this on a daily basis. All of the people that understand this is wrong and want to fight this and have to deal with that struggle on a daily basis. I'll leave it at that. We're gonna switch it up and go into some actual basketball. Starting with the number 1 seed, the number 1 team in the NBA, and now Giannis Antetokounmpo is the Defensive Player of the Year and on pace to be probably the MVP. So they're about to rack up every single cabinet jewelry you can get outside of the Larry O.B. What do we got to say about Giannis? They also went 3-1 in the series against Orlando. They boycotted their game today, but I think we're all under the consensus that they will win that series. What do you got to say about Giannis and Defensive Player of the Year?
It's historic. This might be a historic year for him, man. Not too many players have Defensive Player of the Year and MVP under their belt. And he might even do a Michael Jordan and have both in the same year. That is historic, man. And we all know how good Giannis can be. We all know how dominant he can be. We talked about leadership earlier off the court and on the court. He has have a team where he did it his way. He didn't act for superstars. He took what was given to him and made the best out of it and elevated them. So with that being said, I can't wait to see what the future holds for Giannis. What I really want to see is, can he get this closed down the stretch game? Can he develop that? That's going to be the next level for Giannis for me to make him truly unstoppable, truly unguardable. As Michael Jordan said, it's not how many buckets you get, it's when you get the buckets.
I wish we had our stat checker here. Shout out to Mr. J.O. He's not with us today. But I'm curious as to know how many people have won MVP and the championship the same year. And that's something that you've researched before. I don't know the exact numbers on that right now. But Defensive Player of the Year, I think it's safe to say that MVP is locked up for Giannis if he's getting Defensive Player of the Year, because his numbers offensively were just as strong, if not stronger. And then the number one seed, they're favorites to go to the championship out of the East. Is there a possibility where he can lock up the Triple Crown? That would be considered a Triple Crown, right? Or would it be like scoring champ, MVP, and champion? Or is it like MVP,
champion? I think they're interchangeable as far as scoring champ and defensive player.
Or does the Triple Crown have anything to do with Finals MVP?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the hardest one of them all. That's the thing that brings it all together. And makes it the Triple Crown. But to me, hats off to Giannis. Wonderful to literally just see this guy develop from this skinny kid coming in, and just to see this Greek god just on the basketball court, literally just balling crazy. His story is amazing, and you really want to cheer for somebody like that. So hats off to him. What this shows me is that I'm now going to challenge Giannis defensively. If you're a defensive player of the year, Giannis, prove that in this playoffs. Let your defense be the thing that closed the games out for you. Let that be the reason why y'all win the championship. Pull the Detroit Pistons back in the day. Pull the San Antonio Spurs and they beat you with the Twin Towers. You know what I mean? Like things like that. So I think he can do it. If there's anybody that could do it, he's one of about two, but I think Kawhi can do it too as well. But that's the challenge for Giannis right now. Like Kobe said, the challenge now is MVP. Now I feel like I'm a Kobe station. I'm challenging you to use the defensive player of the year and let that propel your team to a championship. So interesting. I wouldn't want Giannis personally, but I can see why.
Yeah, the stats, analytics.
Yeah. Defensive player of the year.
I think it's really amazing.
Number one defensive rated team.
That Kobe was able to tell him, MVP, and the next 2 years he wins MVP. I think that's extremely dope. And if that was the driving passion from Giannis for the last 2 years, that's going to be a problem. But I'm still on John's side with it. I don't think, and this is why I don't even think he's peaked yet. Because I still think of all the players that I look at that don't have that offensive game down the stretch, that closing bucket shot. I know Kobe's going over their shoulder. When I look at all the guys that don't have it, that are good, he would be the one that I would say can develop it. We've seen him develop almost everything. You say get better at shooting the three. He's come out and he's been at least effective at hitting the 3-point shot. I mean, he doesn't need to be Joe Harris from three. He doesn't need to be Steph Curry. He doesn't need to be even a Kyrie Irving. He just needs to be able to shoot the shot that they're going to lay all the way off. Now he needs to develop a closing game. He needs to be able to take a mid-range shot. He needs to be able to find other ways to close the game so we can see him in the championship. And that's the next step for Giannis.
Yeah.
We can move on from the Bucks and move on to what I believe is the most entertaining series in these playoffs. But that's the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Clippers. At the moment, that series is 3-2 Clippers. And I'm going to say it. They looking at me like I'm crazy, but I'm going to say it. I was not a Luka Doncic believer when it first started. When he was being drafted, I would have sounded a lot like Chris Broussard and a lot of those other guys that said, I don't know if that European game translates over to America from the guard wing position. He's not that fast. He's not that athletic. That's what we breed here in America. That's what's usually playing.
That's the position.
That's the position, the 2-3 position. Luka has come in, and to me, in his first 2 years, if you had to compare his career to potential, I would say it's closer to Michael Jordan than anyone else.
Say that a little bit. I don't think they heard
I would say that Luka's 2 years, what he's giving you over the first 2 years, if you had to compare his potential to a former player, I would use Michael Jordan.
That's high stakes. That's high praise.
And that's if he loses every game that's if they lose the next game in this series as well. I think that he's shown poise. I think that he's playing against the best defensive team or individual players that the NBA has to offer, and all he's done is step up. I think that they started last year with him being someone that can end games, that can be exciting, that can keep you in some games. And then this year he's out here. The 7th seed wasn't that far away from the 4, 5, 6 seeds, and he's given the 2 seed everything he has in his first time in the playoffs, with the bum ankle, with his star counterpart not playing, and two of these games are getting ejected from another one. What more can you ask from a young 21-year-old? Scoring, he got it. Assists, he got it. Rebounds, he got it. He's putting up 40 against some of the best defensive players that we have to offer in the league. I'm going to applaud Luka, even though I believe they're going to lose this series. I'm going to applaud Luka for what he's done in these first 2 years. Immensely.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him his praise. Luka definitely deserves praise. He's one of the brightest stars in the NBA right now. Offensively, his talent, his size, and his skill is hard to guard. His ability to read coverages and to pick spots. His ability to make tough shots, clutch buckets. But I wouldn't put him on Jordan level. The one thing that Michael Jordan did do was pride himself both on offense and defense. I can't say the same thing for Luka Doncic. But his winning from his first season to the second season and leading his team to the playoffs does remind me of somebody else. Larry Legend.
So you would compare him more to Larry
I would
Legend?
compare him more to Larry Legend because he has a more overall game. Michael Jordan was don't get me twisted. Michael Jordan was a overall great basketball player.
Finney
But
Smith
he dominated you. Scoring,
Doncic.
dominated you on defense.
Doncic pulls up,
Luka
three-pointer.
controls the game
Bang!
with the ball in his hand.
It's
He
good.
makes
Doncic
everybody
wins the
around
game
him
at
that
the
much
buzzer.
better. They was on a historic pace of basketball efficiency. The best basketball efficiency in the history of basketball. The Mavericks. With him at the helm.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Assists. He's top 10 in assists. He's good. He has good rebounding stats. Great scoring stats. Boy's nasty. And with that being said, that puts me in Larry Legend. The way he calls stuff out. Like he's not backing down from people. The way he closed the game out, hit the buzzer beater on you. His craftiness with the basketball,
Back
right?
to Doncic.
All that reminds me of Larry Bird, bro.
Doncic pulls
Like,
up, three-pointer.
and
Bang!
the fact that
Bang! It's
Larry,
good.
his second season, won
Doncic
an
wins
NBA
the game
championship.
at the buzzer.
62-20. Luka has that potential. Luka has the potential to low-key be better than Larry Bird. I gotta see it though, and that's why I'm hesitant to put him on that Jordan level.
Now, I hear you. I wholeheartedly agree with you on the defensive end. 21 years old, Luka Doncic is not anywhere near the same defender you saw in Michael Jordan at 21 years old. Michael Jordan was a rookie at 21. Luka is 20. He's not even 21 yet. He's 20 right now. So comparing Michael Jordan's first year to Luka's first 2 years, or Michael Jordan's first 2 years to Luka's first 2 years defensively, I hear you. Here's the thing with Mike. He was averaging 6 rebounds, 6 assists, He had a season where he averaged 8 assists, 8 rebounds. Mike can do it all too offensively.
They could.
And what I see more, and I'm not gonna say anything down on Larry Bird when it comes to this, because he's definitely a winner too, 3-time NBA champion. But it's the winning. It's me right now. And that's what I saw in Game 4 when he brought them back and then won the game in overtime. It's me, it's Luka. I'm going to go at you. I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to do what I want to do to that person. And I don't care if you defend it well. I'm going to score. That's Paul George. That's Reggie Jackson. That's Kawhi Leonard. That's the switch. That's Marcus Morris. I don't care who you send my way after Michael Green. And I'm talking about decent to exceptional defenders here. The winning, the grit. I've seen it in Kobe. I'm just saying, I see something in Luka Doncic, and maybe I'm being a prisoner of the moment, the way you were with Dame, and what he's done in the playoffs or in the bubble. But on this stage against this team, I was not expecting this from Luka Doncic without Porzingis, and he's doing most of this without Porzingis. Hats off to that man to me, and that's why I'm comparing him to Jordan. It's the will to win.
I ain't gonna go as far to say that Luka Doncic is Michael Jordan.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying potentially that's the road that he's trying to travel.
I think for me, when I look at Luka's game, he is a mix of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Like, as far as him being able to distribute, being able to get teammates better, his efficiency of running the team. But he's like a scorer like Larry Bird. So, man, Rick Carlisle is a great coach. I would love to see that team go against the Clippers team with some defenders. Anybody over there, Jay Crowder, shoot, don't put my kid here. Let's see what happens. But like, they need some two-way players, and boy, watch out.
And the thing about the Dallas Mavericks is, to me, what I've seen or my experience of watching basketball is they will run it back. They will get the pieces, they will keep their core, and they will continuously run it back. Something that OKC didn't do, but I'll go off on them on another show. Something that Washington didn't do when they had Chris Webber and who they had over there?
They had Juwan Howard.
Juwan Howard. They had somebody else up there.
Sheed over there too.
Sheed, right. They had Rasheed Wallace. It's teams that just don't run it back, and Dallas is not one of them. So they have their star. If they can keep Porzingis healthy throughout the playoffs, who knows what you have out of him.
Yeah, he was averaging 30 in the bubble.
Look like he cooking. He's that's my boy. I love him. But they're gonna build around this for years to come. He's 20 years old.
Yeah.
He could be looking at the San Antonio Spurs situation. And don't forget, Dallas over the last 20 years is a top 3 team. They spent the least amount of time outside of San Antonio, and there's one other team I believe that's in between them. They've always been good over the last 20 years. They've always been competitive. They may miss a year, and then they come right back and they're competitive. And they still keep guys like DJ Moran and Devin Harris, and Dirk till he's 50. You feel me? Like, I think Tyson Chandler had multiple stints with them. Almost. I could be wrong with that. Stat check me on that. J.O., you get a chance. But yeah, big up to Luka. Big up to the Mavs organization. We got a lot. I like the potential of Luka Doncic, and I'm apologizing for not believing in him.
It happens. You weren't the only one. Montreal's hurt. I believe in
D. Mitch, Jamal Murray. They wilding out there. In Orlando,
Talk about
them two
duel.
boys is fighting. Give me some anime.
Sasuke and Naruto?
Goku and Vegeta?
You look like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Throwing at it.
Yeah, it's lit. It's Boston Yankees. It's amazing. I got my popcorn ready. I watch every game, and I know they both gonna go off. Who's more impressive to you guys? All in all, who's been more impressive?
To me, it's D. Mitch.
Mm-hmm.
It's D. Mitch. I feel like Utah has more players in the bag that can pull out and beat you.
Utah has more players in the
No,
back.
no, no. Sorry, Denver.
Oh,
Denver has more
oh,
players in the
oh.
bed equity. You got Joker. You got Michael Porter Jr., who's also another key player, rising star. Can't wait to see how well he goes. Glad to see that he came back off his injury and now is thriving into becoming a star. You also got guys who are not playing, like Will Barton. You got solid players. Paul Millsap, right? You got backup players. Morris. You got Jeremy Grant. So when you look at Denver, it's hard to guard. It's hard to get game plan against if you have so many options. When you over here look at Utah, you like D-Mitch, Mike Conley,
And Jordan Clarkson.
and Clarkson.
And you got Clark, Gobert.
My thing is this.
Not offensive.
Clarkson is a streaky shooter, and Michael Conley has his hot days and he has his cold days. D-Mitch has the pressure every game to lead his team in scoring. Every game. And even with that being said, my man is going up for 30, 40, 50, 53. Like, sealing the deal. Remember, Michael Conley was out the first 2 games and he was still killing them. So to me, that's more impressive. Not to take away from Jamal Murray because they had duels too. When the boy had 53, Jamal Murray had like 37.
Jamal Murray also dropped 50 in one game and 42.
Two next to like I just feel like the level of difficulty of shots and the pressure of being the number one guy and producing on that level with the game plan being solely focused on stopping you, I gotta give it to you.
About you, Rob.
For me, you asking me, you asking Rob. So I'm gonna answer like you asking Rob. I knew Donovan Mitchell was capable of this. I knew he was a baller. What I didn't know was how cold Jamal Murray is.
You knew Donovan Mitchell was capable of averaging 40?
I didn't know he was capable of
Being up 3-1 as a 6 seed?
being up 3-1, yes. Averaging 40, no. Leading a team, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I didn't know this dude Murray could come out here and average 30 in a playoff series.
Off of an injury.
Like, to me, I've always looked at Jamal Murray as a nice, solid, complimentary piece. Not really this is one of my stars of my team. I always thought that he could be like maybe a third or fourth string, third or fourth option of championship teams. This playoffs? I don't know. He making me look at him a little bit differently. Like maybe he does have more in his bag that he's going to show me and he can offer a team. So for me, more impressive is Jamal Murray. And the fact that like that, bro, they were down 3-1. And it looked like all hope was lost for them. And the person that put his team on the back was Jamal Murray. Granted, Jokic came out balling first quarter. But when it came down to it, closing time, Jamal Murray's out there balling, bro. So hats off to him for me. I think he's saying, all right, I'm still here too. Don't forget about me.
Funny thing, I was listening to his post-game interview. He was like, I was in my hotel room and I was folding my clothes. I stopped folding my clothes. I ain't going home. He's like, now it's a mindset. He said, now it's a mindset. He said, now it's a mindset. I stopped folding my clothes. We're not leaving the bubble. We ain't going home. So, like, yeah, hats off to Jamal Murray. But I've seen moments and I've seen times where Jamal Murray take over games over the last couple of years. I mean, and for me, I've seen his last couple of playoffs where Donovan Mitchell didn't show up to his ability where he was at and couldn't propel his team. I've seen that too. And this year is like, I'm here. Like, you got work.
So to me, last year was Donovan Mitchell's rookie year. I don't expect much out of the rookie in the playoffs as the star of his team. Not much. He made it there. I'm happy that he made it there. That's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, even though it's rookie year, this year I'm looking at, and this is what I said in his rookie year, so don't try to jack like I'm falling in love with folk now because they're in the bubble. I called Donovan Mitchell the new age D Wade last year. I said this boy looked like D Wade in the flesh. I say that as a huge D Wade fan, my favorite player of all time. Russell Westbrook is right behind there. But D Wade is my favorite player. He's always been since since high school.
30th.
And he looked just, I'm sorry, it's 30th. He looked just like D Wade up there. And he's showing that promise. However, Rob, I gotta agree with you. And this is why, John. It's a little bit different than Rob. Rob always seen Jamal Murray as a third option, fourth option. I've been saying this since you was kicking my butt with him in 2K16, and I had to go take a real look at the young boy.
Boy's cold.
And I watched a couple of Denver Nuggets games, and what I saw was Jamal Murray has every single tool you need out of your point guard to be a championship level point guard. He can be as good as Kyrie Irving. He has the crossover, he has the jump shot, he has the handle, he can jump higher than most of them. He can play off ball, he can play make, he can play defense somewhat. He's not Steph Curry on defense. And that's not the disrespect of Steph Curry, who plays the passing lanes well, but he's not a great on-ball defender. But Jamal Murray never had that. I said I saw this dog in him, and it was never really there until somebody was kicking his ass. I see somebody take him to the cup and one off the chest, no call. Ah! Jamal Murray come back down, hit 2 threes in his face, and then dunk 2 plays later. Like, I like this. I like this guy. And you know what I saw in this series? Donovan Mitchell came out there and punched him in the mouth in 57. You heard what he said in that post-game interview, because they was interviewing Jamal Murray because they won the game after he went crazy in overtime, fourth quarter in overtime. And he said, man, I ain't trying to get nothing. That man had 57. What that man going to do? Go win 3 straight games after that. Donovan Mitchell busting Terry. Jamal Murray putting up 50 to go right back at him. There's the dog. And now he won a game with the dog. And I'm going to say it's more impressive simply because Utah's the better defensive team. Utah has the defensive player of the year. Donovan Mitchell is no slouch. Joe Ingles is for defense. Royce O'Neal was supposed to be,
That's a two-way player.
you know, Royce O'Neal was supposed to be a 3-and-D, two-way player. So Utah, to me, has the defensive talent. Mike Conley is no slouch on defense now that he's back in the ball.
Right.
So for Jamal, and on the other end, I feel like Donovan Mitchell, although 57 and 51, those is impressive. But I feel like on the other end, he can sort out the mismatch. They've been picking on Michael Porter Jr., who's been an offensive talent, but defensively he's been looking really bad. So they've been picking on guys like that. Torian Craig was supposed to be the Donovan Mitchell stopper. What? What?
Where?
What? So there's holes on their defense. Not, as good as Joker is not the type to meet you at the rim. You know, he's not that type of defensive presence. So I'm going to take Jamal Murray because he's doing it against more. Even though I agree with you, they do have more offensively, Denver. But he's doing it against more, and I'm seeing that dog, and I'm loving it. Loving it. Y'all want to keep doing the playoffs? We can kind of sweep through this pretty fast. The rest of this, there's one more playoff series we must talk about. I'm sorry, it's only right. No, it's 2 more actually. The Lakers and the Trailblazers. That's the one Rob want to talk about. He want to look over there at his brother.
I'm going to say what you said. 2 was last week?
Mm-hmm.
I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. Baby, them boys are ran out of time. It's over. Lakers. 1, 2, 3. Fuck. Listen. All I'm going to say is,
Gentlemen speak.
my Lakers, LeBron James,
As
thank you for
predicted.
shutting me up. Thank you for giving me my first W as a Laker. Thank you for giving me my first post-Kobe playoff W. Thank you. I appreciate that. We haven't W in so long. And it feels good to be on the winning side again. Keep doing your thing. AB, you do your thing too. But Jonathan, don't you ever disrespect the Lakers like that ever again. Talking about his Dame time. Melo back in his back. And Nerdy can guard. Boy.
Hey, man, I can only call what I see. And that first game didn't look good for you guys. And I give my hats off to the Lakers. They show why they are championship. They're a championship team for a reason, and the battle for LA is real. LeBron James came up in the bubble. He turned into playoff mode. He started getting that villain grill, start staring people down, shooting from the logo. I was like, oh man, it's gonna be a long. Then on top of that, I gotta give credit when credit is due. Anthony Davis has been cooking. It don't matter who you guard, who is on him. Nurkic, Whiteside, Melo, whoever, just get buckets. He hit the Kobe. He looks like Kobe, boy, hit the fadeaway. Hassan hit him with the high five. He said, "This is light work. Let me get to my free throw line." We talking about 30 piece. What y'all talking about? Like the boy. Then down the stretch in game 4, he closed the game up. Mid-range jump shot, not hitting no rim on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, this dude's
step in and out.
me.
Wow,
Me. So if they keep playing like this, those boys hitting shots. Caruso stepped up. J.R. Smith got in the game. KCP was hitting shot. KCP went 4 for 5 and had 11 points in the first quarter on Mamba Day. Mamba was in the building that game, and once I seen that, I just was like, oh man, it's gonna be a long day. And quiet as it kept, Dame Lillard's hurt.
That's very true.
And it just don't look good for Portland. I think they gave everything that they could and more. It's just not their season, bro. It's not their season. They gotta rebuild. I'm not rebuild, but they gotta stock up.
Quick question, just yes or no. We're not gonna get into the topic. Do the Trailblazers need to blow it up?
I was talking to Rob about this. Not yet.
No. I'm on a no side too.
Not yet.
I'm on a no side too. OKC was down 0-2. The Rockets was looking good without Russell Westbrook. And then the clutch gene has struck again. After they was losing game 3, they came back.
The unclutch gene has struck again?
I'm talking about the clutch gene of the OKC.
And I'm talking about 37, 57 threes and missing like I said they was going to do.
They won that game,
No. They set another record.
Oh.
The last game, they shot 57 threes and lost.
So
I'm trying to tell you, man, Houston needs Russell Westbrook back.
Yeah,
they need him back badly.
We know that.
And they got
James. They're still going to win this
series. You need
series.
to stop shooting 57 threes and missing.
They're still going to win this series.
You live by the 3, you die by the 3. And they're dying right now.
Through this series by the 3. I do want to shout out OKC for being clutch. Dennis Schroeder has showed up. Balling. Speaking of Dennis Schroeder, we always talk about Shai Gilchrist and how clutch he's been this year, how good he's been, and how much of a surprise he's been this year. Chris Paul being a surprise there. But Dennis Schroeder is not that old, 1 and 2. He started as a starting point guard in Atlanta really young. I feel like he's finding himself. And we looked at Victor Oladipo go and be great somewhere else. We looked at Sabonis going to be an all-star somewhere else.
Harden going to be
an all-star somewhere else. It's not that I'm trying to plug him in. I'm just saying I like what I'm seeing from Dennis Schroeder. What is there not to like about the guy? We talking about possible...
I'll let him have an LA. I'll put that.
I think his stock of a lot of players right now is just quietly just rising. So I wanted to shout him out. Even though I do believe Houston will still pull it together.
You know what stock is rising? I didn't talk about Shai. I remember I was talking about this last week, and I was like, he needs to be more aggressive, and he needs to not be scared to take the shots. And he's been doing that. Mm-hmm. Shai has been balling, and the boy is learning how to be like Chris Paul is a leader. Yes, Dennis Schroeder is the guy to get you buckets in the control offense. But when it comes down to it, who's the man of that team? Who's the future? Who's the star of that team? You got a shot.
I agree. It's also when you look at the dynamic of those two teams, you always thought, and you've been jacking heavy this year, that the bigs are gonna beat the Rockets because they don't have any bigs to rebound. When I turn around, Danilo Gallinari can just shoot over the top, which he does throughout the series, and he hits a lot of them. But I feel like the bigs fight for position, and they fight to get where they need to go, and they feel like this is an easy shot over someone tall, and it's not as efficient, as opposed to the guards looking at this like, all right, at first, these guys are manning up. These guys are playing solid defense, and I think Houston will continue to switch and play man-to-man, straight-up defense.
Yes.
But as a guard, I start thinking about it as, hey, once I get past this dude, there's nothing stopping me. Yeah.
Until Robert Covington come over there and shoot his 7'2" wingspan, like I've seen him do a few times.
Right? But I feel like I'm more
PJ
confident.
Tucker use his intimidating badge on you.
I'm more confident to go down there, and then when you got guys that are really good at shooting off the dribble, which all three of these guards are really good at, it kind of makes you toy with them. Now I can, once I've shown that I can get past you, and the help has to help because I'm not afraid to fall on my shoulder. Like Dennis Schroeder will fall on his back all the time. Chris Paul throws himself on the floor. It's crazy to see that old man still doing that. Shy and Young, he does it too. And the younger guys, they got coming off the bench, the Fergusons and the Naders, they're diving all over the place. So I'm diving at the rim, make a miss. I'm going at the rim, and now once I start making so, now I can start pulling back and hitting this open. I like the consistency that they're gaining. I still believe that threes beat twos in this series, and they don't have anybody to go for 50. They don't have anybody to go 50 and someone else to go for 35. So I do think threes will beat the twos in this series.
I think threes will beat the two. Threes beat twos if you can hit them. Yeah. And my thing is this: when you are playing high intensity, switch everything, scramble mode defense, you don't get 3-day breaks. You rest, play it again. Then you got to go against the physicality of those bigs, right? You got to guard them while he's boxing you up. You think these dudes missing because they missing? No, they tired. They sore. They feel it. Like they shooting. My arm. That was an elbow that I got from Adams. My leg. That's the box out that I got. Yeah, man. All of that, bro. That physical. Y'all think I'm playing? Real hoopers know. Shooters know. Shooters know. So with that being said,
shooters shoot too.
And shooters miss, and that's what they doing right now.
Shooters shoot.
57 threes, 12 something makes. You do the math.
That's it. So it's always going to come down to James Harden hitting big shots at the end. That's always turned down to. It's always going to come down to that. For me, it's Houston. Can he show up big when they need him to show up big? And I think he can, especially against OKC.
We're going to see.
All right, Sean. We're going to step into a new subject. We're going to touch about the other three playoff series a little bit later. Talk about the NBA hot seat. Couple people in the hot seat. We're going to jump right in on them. See how hot that seat is depending on which person is talking. And we're going to start right in Denver with Mike Malone. Down 3-2 in the series. They're the highest seed. How hot is the seat for Mike Malone right now?
This team is on fire! They were the 3 seed. Mm-hmm. You're not supposed to win game 1 and lose 3 in a row. And no way in the world is it acceptable to lose 3 games in a row in the playoffs. With that talent. Especially with that talent. So, this seed is hot. I haven't seen enough.
John?
I don't think it's that hot. Either 3 seed. Yeah. Remember, you gotta also winning account for something, bro. You gotta remember, he took that Denver team over. They weren't that good. Turned them into a winning team. You gotta give him his room. You gotta give him his room. These dudes are playing out of their mind. This is not typical NBA basketball, right? I mean, people are in the bubble. With that being said, his team has responded in kind to the Utah Jazz, and I think they put up a series. They're not supposed to lose this series, but I don't think that this is fireable offenses.
I have one thing. Over the past few days of the playoffs, we've seen teams fire their coaches who felt like they had disappointing playoff runs. Philadelphia fired Brett Brown, and the Indiana Pacers fired Nate McMillan. I would not be surprised at all if Mike Malone gets fired too.
If you had Alvin Gentry, that would be 3 bubble coaches fired already. Mike Malone might make it the 4th. I don't know how hot the seat is. I'm going to lean more towards John. I think there is some sizzle. And I've also seen Denver fire coaches like George Karl after having great years but having less than stellar performances in the playoffs. Rob, I agree with you. Losing 3 games in the playoffs is not acceptable, and that definitely puts your job in jeopardy. Oh, George!
Paul George stepped up Game 5. Boy, did he step up Game 5 because we couldn't find him Games 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. How hot is the Paul George hot seat? And when I say this, I want to phrase it like this.
How you ask the question?
Has Paul George become the new Kyle Lowry before last year's playoffs? Where he's that man in the regular season and then that bad in the playoffs? I think he still is. I think that one game doesn't define the last 5 years of his career where you couldn't get out the first round of playoffs. He's shooting terrible percentages. But it's made his seat less hot. I would say that. There was a petition made because of disappointment for him to play overseas. That's how hot the seat was. They wanted him to get on a plane and go overseas. With that being said, I'm glad Paul George had a great game last night. I can foresee him playing better. I can foresee him playing well, especially under the tutelage and leadership of Kawhi Leonard and Doc Rivers. I don't think that's going to happen all the time.
I smell something burning.
It's smoke in the city.
It's smoke in the city.
Oh, Lord.
Paul George, listen, I'm a Los Angeles Lakers fan. I don't know how Clippers fans are, but I know fans of Los Angeles, we expect much out of our teams, especially when it comes to the playoffs.
Clippers.
Especially when it comes to the playoffs, and they gave away 6 first-round picks. And you're the reason why Kawhi Leonard's there.
1, 2, 3,
So,
4, 6.
Paul George, you can't keep doing this. Hot.
I think it's important to note that he did say that he's been dealing with depression and anxiety while being in the bubble. Paul George does have a full family. He enjoys fishing. Being a Russell Westbrook fan, I got to learn a little bit more about Paul George, following Russell Westbrook and Paul George, of course, last year. For the last 2 years. And I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to give him a pass for that, but I think it's also important to acknowledge that could be affecting his game in the bubble.
That's fair.
With that being said, outside the bubble over the last 3 years, Paul George has been less than stellar in the playoffs and very damn good in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
So, all in all, the magnifying glass is on you. I don't know if the sun is in that magnifying glass, and I don't know if you're going to be an ant or if you're going to be, I don't know where I was going with that analogy. But,
Tree.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
yeah, exactly. We're looking at you, Paul George, and the whole world is looking at you because, keep it a stack, you guys have the most loaded roster, which means you're probably one of the favorites to go to. You're the top 2 favorites to go to the championship in the Western Conference. So the eyes will always be on you being the second best player on that team. Step it up. See, getting hot. T.J. Warren. Well, if that wasn't a 14-day trial, I don't know what is.
This is Luke Cold.
Trying to follow you yet.
Listen, TJ Warren will be fine. Like I just said before, Nate McMillan just lost his job. I think they believe in the nucleus of players, and he has shown that he can at least contribute on some type of level, even if it's not going against Jimmy Butler, the Miami Heat buzzsaw. That ain't your fault, dog. You played ball Celtics. You've been balling.
Oh my goodness.
That's a wild prediction.
Oh, y'all already know how I feel about T.J. Warren, man. I feel like he was a bubble player. He had his shine. He had his insanity.
Oh my goodness. They are who we thought they were.
Yep.
Jimmy did not let him off the hook. I think T.J. Warren, you put him under the wing. I think T.J. Warren's seat is not hot. Indiana thrives off of players like T.J. Warren. However, this ain't gonna go away. Every single time they see Miami, don't let them see Miami in the playoffs again. I think of LeBron versus the Washington Wizards. From now on, it was Gilbert and Carlos and Caron Butler and Deshaun Stevenson, and they just hated LeBron. Because LeBron always bust their ass in the playoffs.
Especially when they try to get physical with him.
Especially when they try to get physical with baby Bron. And now I look at T.J. Warren, who had a situation with Jimmy Butler, and it has been barbecue chicken, chop suey. since. They lost 6 straight games to Miami, and TJ Warren did not have a good one in any of those games.
Hmm?
He did not have one good game. So TJ Warren, hot seat, fire when it comes to the Heat. Tobias Harris, my man's from Queensborough, we love you, man. But you ain't off the hot seat, my brother. What happened? Is Tobias Harris a number 2 or number 3 option? Can he play like that when it's most necessary? Or is he getting paid too much?
He got paid too much. I think Tobias Harris is a great supplementary player to a superstar, but they gave him superstar money.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't play like it.
In the playoffs, because he played like it in the regular season.
So unless he can show me that he can play like it, it might have been Brett Brown. Some people can say it could have been that offense, whatever the case may be. He didn't play like it, and yeah, his seat was super high. I wouldn't be surprised if on brand like seeing what one be.
Tobias Harris, this seat is hot. You're a really good player, but Philly kind of dropped the ball and they gave you that much money, and now you're kind of one of the worst contracts in the NBA.
Yikes.
And very untradeable right now.
All right, Mike D'Antoni. Are they going to lose this first? Is he on the hot seat? No, we're not going to do all this.
This seat is on fire.
Is it really?
Been on fire since the offseason when they tried to re-up for a contract extension, and the new owner said, "Hey, I'm not willing to sign you long term. I'll sign you to a 1-year deal, and based on your performance in the playoffs, I will give you incentives." So basically, he get $1 million per round. That don't sound like the coach that's not on the hot seat. That sounds like if you don't make it to the Western Conference Finals and lose in 7, you out of here.
Yeah, this seat is hot, especially if he goes small ball and small ball doesn't turn out the way it's supposed to
they
be.
get knocked in the first round.
He gonna be
This seat on fire.
pulling an ass.
Chris Middleton. How hot is his seat?
This seat cold, man.
Is he cold? Is he a number 2 option? Is he going to be the reason? Is he going to help Giannis get over the hump? Is he the Klay Thompson
We
for
won't
Giannis?
know until next round how he performs.
Because that's what you want from him, right?
It's
Is that
going
what you
right
want from him? With Klay Thompson kind of feel, knock down 3, can play defense, can guard 1 through 3, can score 30 when your best player. Is that not what you want from him?
Yeah, but
Can he be that?
he doesn't need to be
And
that.
his seat is on fire with me.
No.
Chris Middleton, you best step it up. You out here going for 50, 40, 90. We need 50, 40, 90 in the playoffs. And I ain't talking about efficiency. I'm talking about a 50-point game. I'm talking about 40 points in the... Nah, I'm just saying.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Chris Middleton, I need to do something, bro. Y'all can't be dropping 40 and 50 every game. And y'all just, you know what I mean, y'all just pulling away from Orlando. Miami's going to be a different type of animal. That's all I'm going to say. Philly, the 1-2 punch of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. How hot is that? Brett Brown's seat burned. He's fired. How hot is the Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons tandem?
According to Elton Brand, she's cold. Said none of them, they're young, they play together. Woj also came through with that report. Shout out to Woj from ESPN. I believe Ben Simmons' seat is on fire. Listen, you're not shooting threes, you're not making no shots, degrees go up. Hot seat for me.
You're a Joel Embiid fan. What you think?
I love me some JoJo. Go to Golden State, boy! Lead!
Get out.
Lead!
He's the process.
Do it while you can!
He's the process.
I'm telling you, that's one of the best things for your career, bro.
You talking about villain. You thought LeBron was hated leaving Cleveland. Philly fans is way more aggressive, bro.
He trusted the process. What else you want?
2 first-round picks.
He trusted the process. They had Jimmy Butler last year. They should have got him back on a deal. They gave the money to Tobias Harris. I did all I can do. I wouldn't be mad at Joel.
Because it's not like you're not going to get nothing back. You're going to have to get at least Wiggins' contract back and 2 first-round picks.
Yep.
And there's going to be the second pick in the draft.
I'm not trading that for Joel Embiid. If I'm from Golden State, no, I don't know. I gotta revisit that.
I'll give you whatever you want. What you want to be? You want Draymond? Send me Tobias Harris. What you talking about?
I don't know. We gotta talk about that.
Joel Embiid.
All right, man.
Y'all be with the scrap brother look really nice.
What we looking like on time, brothers?
We over top.
We over time. We're going to move on to the next subject with more basketball. Inside the bubble. WNBA to start. The Wubble.
Wubble.
They have postponed their games as well. Johnny Boy so elegantly pointed out earlier, WNBA also who have always been the front runners of social reform and social justice and speaking out on things that are not good in our country. They have postponed their games. The MLB postponed a few games tonight in response, as well as Detroit Lions. They postponed their practice, which happened way earlier in the day. So I guess you could say the Lions were the first to act in a sense. But postponements happening in 4 leagues for sure. I think you mentioned about the MLS. I'm not 100% sure about that. But big up to them on that. Anything you guys want to add to that?
Man, shout out to the WNBA, man. You definitely got to support them through the hard way. We look forward to what y'all have to do because I feel like they're not just going to protest. They're going to do something about the protest. So, yeah.
Same sentiments. WNBA, keep doing what you guys doing. You are appreciated. And anybody else who's out here protesting, thank you. We need all of the support. Yeah.
One of the best soccer players of all time, Lionel Messi, went out of Barcelona.
Hey. I never thought I'd see the day.
What? The day when the
I've been waiting for this day.
Facts.
Tired of Messi playing for Barcelona. I want to see him somewhere else. Listen,
I want to see him play against a lot more competition. Like, not to say that he's the other soccer players in those leagues in that league is in competition, but I want to Premier.
You want to see him in the
I want to see him in the Premier League, bro.
Go play against Pogba.
Premier League, come on TV.
This is the age of super teams. So Messi, especially while you've already proven how great you are, I would love to see you join somebody. I ain't saying that's too much.
Why? I mean, they both ages.
Because I'm like Utah. I don't want to see them. I want to see them play too. Go to Man City. Go to Chelsea.
Hey, go to Man United. Join my boy Pogba. No. I would love for him to join Pogba. What you say about Man City?
So there have been reports, and I'm not exactly sure. I believe it's CBS or something like that. But long story short, if Messi would go to Man City, there have been something in his contract where after 3 years or so, he would then transfer from Man City to their sister club, New York City Football Club. So NYC Football Club and MLS. So that would be something really interesting to see.
So that means Messi gonna be playing soccer right here in New York if he were to go to Man City. So
that's why I want to see him go to Juventus. I want to see him go somewhere else.
Save this video. We're gonna cover you, Messi, if you come to what you call. Watch, we're gonna have you on the show 3 years from now. If you come to New York, man, you're gonna be sitting right here with us talking about a lot of things, New York things. I can't wait to have him. Drink. Earl Thomas is out of Baltimore. First to say, Steeler fan in the background, he's happy. See, shout out to CJ, who's been our tech guy and also working our time today. Any destinations for Earl Thomas? I'm not gonna go into why he's out of Baltimore.
They said, "How about them Cowboys?"
Well, he's been
Phoenix,
right.
And I say, get out of here, man. Come bring it all home. Come back to Dan Quinn, baby. One time for the one time. Just come on, Atlanta, be a difference maker. 10-6. I'm cheering for you.
6-10.
10-6, we get it all, Thomas.
Out of the NFL, like half the teams are working in clauses, and they said this in the beginning that they were gonna have fans in their seats.
That's what they said.
And they working it out. Some teams have talked about as much as like 13,000 fans.
Yeah, that's dolphin.
In the stands for these games. Safety precautions haven't been completely worked out. But are you guys fans of this move?
Not fans of it. There's too many things going on. I think a lot of people was going to model what the NFL does, and I don't think that's going to be successful. You already have colleges closing down. I know Notre Dame closed down because they got caught with cases of corona. I know there's been some other universities that got caught with corona and they closed down. So right now is not the time to be essentially playing with people's lives, essentially, and put them in spaces where it's not cohesive or not smart. Now, at the end of the day, it's up to the fans to buy the tickets. That being said,
and I think that they can be safe when you think about seating 13,000 people in a place that holds 67,000 people. Then you think that the space works, but I'm thinking about things about like the traveling, getting them all to their seats, getting out of the area, tailgating, concession stands. So I think that at 10 to 20% capacity, it can work in some way. I mean, it's not like they're going to be interacting with the players, where if the players have corona, that they can pass it off to them. Or if they have corona, they can pass it off to the players. I don't think any type of interaction in that should be allowed at all. And I don't think it would be allowed. But it's an enter at your own risk situation. I don't think you're putting the players in any more jeopardy with the fans being so far away. I think it's very interesting. I just think about getting 13,000 people all in one area, and how can you be sanitary with that?
Yeah.
Once you get them in there, yeah.
But how do you make it effective where it feels like you're playing a football game at home? Because if I'm sitting here, you have to be 6 feet away from me. Like, it's gonna be very spread out.
I'm thinking like watch parties. Maybe you come in, you buy a 10-pack. 10 people come to the game, and you 10 keep your mask on, and you guys stay over here, and then we kind of partition it off, and then
everybody has
outdoor seating at the game.
Everybody has suites, pretty much.
It's gonna like stand suites. Yeah, that's the way I'm picturing it in my mind. I'm curious to see how they go about it. NBA draft predictions. We kind of teased a little bit about Golden State having the number 2 pick. We spoke about the draft last week. Any Knicks fan.
Screw it again.
Any predictions? Any people we want to see in certain places? Anything you want to say about the draft right now? Before I know one episode, we definitely want to jump into the draft a little bit deeper, kind of give our top, our lottery picks or whatever. But anything y'all want to tease about the draft right now?
Shouts out to the NBA once again. Interested to see. The draft always produces at least 1 or 2 players that weren't on your radar, and I think this draft is completely full of them. And I'm interested to see who pops up. So I don't know.
I think I look at the Golden State Warriors with the number 2 pick, and 2 years ago they were in the finals, and this year they have the number 2 pick because their best player left, and their best 2 franchise players were hurt. So they could trade that pick with not having Andrew Wiggins on the team and Pascal and a little bit of trade bait there. They can trade that pick. They can draft someone in the very big. They can have the biggest. I guess on a graph it would be a U. What is this called? Parabole. It would be like because they were so good last year. Yeah. They were so bad this year, and they can be a contending team again next year with this number 2 pick. So I'm really curious, really watching how Golden. And don't forget, they drafted Draymond Green. They drafted Steph Curry. They drafted Klay Thompson. They drafted Eric Pascal. These are not trade moves. These are people so they draft well. So let's see who they draft. I'm curious, really curious. If they do draft, if they trade that for something else. They've also made some
trade out of stuff, man.
Season-wise, they've done everything. Right. They've drafted well. They've picked up the best free agents. They've had the best bench at one time. They've made revolutionary coaching with Steve Kerr being one of the most winningest coaches because he came into a championship to start. They've made decent trades. They got Andrew Wiggins, and we knew they wanted him all along when they got D'Lo, who was an all-star last year. Very curious to see what Golden State's going to do. And lastly, guys, Madden is dropping this weekend, I believe. 2K is supposed to drop in a couple of weeks or a month or so. And I don't think 2K. I think 2K is dropping earlier this year than it has. They didn't get their release date, but I'm almost positive they're dropping a little bit earlier. Either way,
2K only didn't give a release date. That's crazy.
Either way, Madden and 2K dropping. If you had to choose one, which one would you get?
Taking Madden for right now. I want to play my franchise.
Franchise move Madden?
I'm a little biased, so I'm definitely going to go with Madden. Simply because Madden is smart enough as a business company to say, hey, if you buy Madden for PlayStation 4, you get the next one free on the next generation. 2K don't want to do that, so I'm buying Madden.
Oh!
Crazy. Well, you got to buy the Kobe one, the $100 one.
Because 2K is saying that if you buy it for PlayStation 4, you have to buy it again for PlayStation 5.
Yes. Unless you buy the Kobe $100 one.
Oh, okay. You're trying to make some money.
Or you can just buy the one on the PlayStation 5 for like $67. So I'm buying Madden for it. I'm not buying 2K until it makes it rich.
Oh, you're not?
I'm not.
It's a new generation system.
Yes, absolutely. I'm not.
I get
Makes
it.
sense. I'm like,
For what it's worth, I like over the last 5 years, I think I've already not boycotted, but I did not like the
I already got
2K
mad,
game.
by the way. I forgot. Duh.
This is Madden League Rob over here. I like 2K more of a game, but I'm probably gonna get back on my Madden. I was probably better at Madden than any other skill change. So I'm gonna get back on my Madden. But dust up the skills back when Mike Vick was running backwards into the end
Y'all
zone.
Lamar
And then
Jackson
coming
on your
away back. You know, I might have to
On the
sweep
spot.
right, sweep left. That's going to conclude our show. Again, we want to send our condolences to Jacob Blake's family and him as well, who is still alive, thank God. Hopefully we can rise above this situation and also, be a living testimony to what change we're about to see in the world. Spearheaded by our $1 million athletes. Big up to them. Big up to y'all for doing the show today. Big up to the NBA for boycotting, as well as WNBA and MLB, those teams that boycotted. Detroit Lions. Big up to all of them. Free holiday, y'all. See y'all next time.